contact on the backstretch. It's Mike Waltrip and now Brian Vickers. Robbie Gordon, 31. The time. Oh, Waltrip's over. 1, 2, 3 times for Michael Waltrip.
Well, there's the big one right there. Took a lot. There's a lot of good cars right there. Is that Sterling Marlin in there?
40 cars in it. That's Michael Waltrip's car, upside down.
Slides up right there. Just ever so little contact, which doesn't look like a lot when you're running 185, 190 miles per hour. It's a lot.
There's the 15. The mountain right now, he's going to dig in. There goes one of the tires that Alan talked about. Violent.
Very violent.
During the 2004 Daytona 500, Michael Waltrip got spun on the backstretch and then went in the grass. When Waltrip went in the grass, his car completely would rip apart as it would flip violently end over end and side over side. It created such a big dust storm as he flipped that you weren't even able to see the entire car when it came to rest. This was scary.
He's going to try and take it away from here.
He's hung in the middle. Here comes Keselowski.
Got trouble now. Keselowski's got on the hard side. Look out, they're going to go around.
McMurray.
Been behind.
Oh, big crash. Oh, and up into the wall. Look out. The caution is out. The race will finish. And it looks like Brad Keselowski is going to get the race win.
Bring it here. Bring it here.
See McMurray trying to get in line right here, right behind Harvick. Just not enough room.
Yeah, and he had to check up for just a second because he was on the right rear quarter of Kevin Harvick.
And then once he goes around, the chaos begins. Look at Setzer. Wow.
Good to see him get out of that car, but that catch fence does its job.
Well, and remember, they raised the catch fence after last year's race here. Also stretched it out over the racetrack. You're right. It did its job. Another view.
Let's see right there. Jamie McMurray just trying to get in. He was going to try to get there and push Kevin Harvick. Just
got to remember
an opening.
They're coming to the checker flag, so they're not going to let off.
Trouble. Steve Park is off into the infield. Another car ball over on his lid. It's Parkindale Jr. Terrible crash.
Man, Steve Park's car just turned dead left when he came off turn 2. Junior's running to see his teammate and see if he's okay.
And getting off into that wet grass wasn't going to do anything to slow those cars down. Caution is out. Ricky Rudd will leave the field back to the yellow. You can see Park moving inside the car, looking through the back glass. He's trying to get himself unwrapped around the roll bars to get out. Safety workers still there around the number 1 car. Of course, Steve has suffered 2 serious injuries back in March of '98. He had that terrible crash at Atlanta that broke his leg and left him out for months, and then the crash at Darlington last Labor Day weekend in the Busch Series car. That strange crash when the steering wheel, it's suspected, came off in Steve's hands.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. still there.
And it's real easy, especially on the first lap coming out of 1. You know, you got cars 2 and 3 abreast, and if you slide up the racetrack, we talked about earlier.
There's Steve coming out of there.
There he is.
There we go.
Good sign.
That's what we wanted to see.
Anyways, what happens is you slide up the racetrack, and you can hit somebody in their left rear as you slide up the racetrack with your right front. And that's almost what it looked like. That one car just turned dead sideways.
Well, what a great shot that is. Teammates walking away from a crash like that, arm in arm.
He makes slight contact with the outside wall.
But then, that's up in 2. Down in turn 3.
Oh, here comes a...
Jimmy Johnson just nowhere to go. The 43 car of Allmendinger just coming back up the racetrack right in front of him.
That is a huge hit.
So the caution apparently was for Conway into the wall.
Yeah, look at
Not sure why Allmendinger was so far down on the racetrack.
That's brutal right there, man. That is a hard lick.
Jimmy said it was blowing up, Rick. Keselowski makes the pass. He's in front of the 5, but not completely cleared it. Here comes the 48 to the inside. The 48 still smoking. 3 wide for the lead as they enter turn 3. Brad Keselowski on the outside. Around goes the 48. The 48 blows goes up and into the wall and goes. The caution comes out again.
Able to maintain it in good spot. Keselowski does everything he's supposed to do, gets closer to 5. Now look how loose the 5 gets right here up into the side of the 2. Jimmy Johnson with huge momentum with smoke coming out of the back of the car like it's blowing up. Now right now, Casey Kane in lift, and I can promise you, it's been a long time since he's win. He's going to drive it in there. Every one of these guys wants to win a Brickyard 400. The 48 car very bottom gets loose. Around he goes. Don't tell me these drivers don't want to win this race.
I agree with Jeff Burton. These drivers wanted to win the Brickyard 400 so bad in 2017. They were 3 wide entering turn number 3 at Indianapolis, a flat track. Besides Jimmy Johnson blowing his engine, this would have been spectacular in itself. But to have Jimmy Johnson blowing an engine down the back straightaway and still going for the lead is just pure chaos. It was so cool to see Jimmy do it, but unfortunately, his engine expired and he spun out and crashed. But I'll give it to the 7-time champ. He sure did try.
A drag race into turn 1. Oh, Kyle Busch slides and does the 78. They both go up into the wall through turn 1. Caution comes out.
Lock her down.
Easily the 2 dominant cars in the 2017 Brickyard 400 was Kyle Busch and Martin Truex, who had been out front all afternoon long. It came at the conclusion when Martin Truex would overdrive turn number 1, collecting himself and Kyle Busch in this fiery, horrific crash. Both of these drivers were okay, but this just shows why you shouldn't send it in so far at a flat track.
Through 3 and 4 for the final time. There's the contact. He does get to him. The 11 on the inside. He gets into the wall. Dillon's going to win it at the line.
What are your thoughts on what happened down there? It's chicken. There's no doubt about it. He's 4 car lengths back. Not even close. Then he wrecks the 11 to go along with it. And then he's going to go up there and thank God and praise everything with his baby. It's a bunch of BS. It's not even freaking close. I mean, dude, I get it, bump and run. I get it. I didn't back up the corner at all. He came in there and just drove through me. It's ridiculous that's the way we race. Unbelievable. I get bump and runs. I do that. I would expect it. But from 4 car lengths back, he was never going to make the corner. And then he wrecks the other car. He wrecks the 11 to go with it. So what a piece of crap.
Looking to make a spot in the 2024 playoffs was Austin Dillon. Win and you're in. And he knew this was his last shot, most likely, to make it in the playoffs. He did what he had to do, in his own words. He drove it in there from about 3 car lengths back, hit the 22 car, realized he messed up because Denny Hamlin was going to pass him, and then he proceeds to right hook Denny Hamlin into the wall and make a violent crash with the 11 car. Denny Hamlin was able to finish second out of this, and Austin Dillon was able to pick up the win. This was just a joke of a finish. But let's talk about a joke of a race. The final race of the 2023 season for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series was at Phoenix Raceway. Most of the time, championship races are pretty calm. Maybe a couple of championship contenders will have a great battle on the track, but that's about all the storylines you need for a championship race. Have a good racing product and make it an exciting finish. That's all you need. But these Truck Series drivers had no idea what they were doing. The race was going pretty smooth and pretty great, just a normal championship race. But it all went downhill very fast after the dominant car, Corey Heim, who was winning the championship, got wrecked by other championship contender, Carson Hocevar. And after that crash, it went downhill really fast.
They're all within 5 positions of each other right now.
Oh, and he spins him. Carson Hocevar gets into the back of Corey Heim and brings out the caution, the 7th one tonight. Heim is backwards on the racetrack. So is Stuart Friesen.
I really don't understand that.
Well, he dove into turn 3 and popped him and went down in turn 1 and just spun him out.
But shouldn't really affect how that truck runs. But tough break for Stuart Friesen.
Corey Heim was extremely upset at this incident. He would later retaliate against Carson Hocevar, fighting him on the racetrack and chasing him all the way up into the wall, bringing out another caution. And this caution would ensue absolute chaos for the remaining of the race.
Oh, no.
And caution is out again. Can you believe it? Carson Hocevar destroyed his truck.
I was looking on the scoring monitor that Corey Heim was backing up to Carson Hocevar. I have to believe that that's related.
I believe he just said that's fair. Whew. Big hit. He's right on board with Corey Heim now to see from his vantage point.
How about Ben Rose? Look at Grant Enfinger's in trouble. There's a caution.
It came out before the white flag. Issues on the inside. What can he do here on the restart?
And Christian Eckes and Zane.
Trouble! Zane Smith goes around. There was contact by Ben Rhodes behind him. We're going to have to see how that happened, guys.
Big problems for the Zane Smith on the restart, and a lot of damage for Ben Rhodes. He ran right into Smith.
Needless to say, there was one more final restart, and it would give Ben Rhodes the advantage to win the championship. But it wasn't for the lack of scarcity, as Grant Enfinger would drive it into the final corner and almost hit Ben Rhodes. Now, that would have been even more disastrous if the two remaining championship contenders wiped each other out. But regardless, this race will be forever remembered by one of the most worst races the Truck Series and NASCAR have ever put on.
43 off, the one back to his rear bumper as the 48 continues to try to take the lead from the 11. The 11 around!
The 11 goes around, and the caution will come out. A restart.
Down into turn 3. The 48 gets loose into the corner. You can see the back coming around. He has to chase the car up the track. Into the left rear corner panel of Denny Hamlin. Denny goes around into the wall. Typical Martinsville, two cars racing hard at the end of this race, and the guy on the inside trying his hardest. Overruns the entry of the corner. We see it over and over. This is late in the race where those front brakes gave out. You got a lot of rear brake in the car because the front brakes are giving up. Time and time again, when you see them running so hard, you know they're pushing really, really hard, and those front brakes are going away, and that entry gets looser as those brakes fade.
And Denny Hamlin doesn't care why. He just knows he got wrecked leading the race. But
Dale Earnhardt Jr. did one of the most controversial things he's ever done in his NASCAR Cup Series career at Daytona. Daytona has a love and hate relationship with Dale Jr., and he intentionally crashed Brian Vickers in the backstretch, wrecking over 80% of the remaining field in the race. This was probably one of the darkest things that Dale Jr. ever did in his Cup Series career, and it still lives on to this day as uncalled for.
And all of those cars are cars that had made green flag stops prior to that caution. Boy, Brian Vickers, Dale Earnhardt Jr., that ain't going to work, boys.
Vickers hard. Here we go. Busch, the dominant car of the day, in the wall.
That was wrong.
And 10 cars sliding, slamming into the infield.
Jimmy Johnson, totally uncalled for. Totally.
I don't care who you are. That was just wrong.
Are a good 8 to 10 race cars torn up.
Now Vickers makes a legal move coming down to block Dale Jr. But instead of blending in, Jr. caught the back end of Vickers' Toyota. And of all the cars in that crash, you have to feel for Kyle Busch. He had led 88 laps, far more than anyone else today, but his number 18 is junk.
Just all of this uncalled for, mainly with 75 laps to go in this race. Vickers puts the block on him, and then Junior just turns right back into the racetrack, right in the left rear, Brian Vickers.
Saw a similar situation like that yesterday in the nationwide race.
And the result.
You're watching from Eric Almirola's car. Kane's trying to get into his pit. Brad's trying to exit. And there's the damage. Kurt Busch clips him hard on the right front.
Typical Martinsville stuff, you know, it's lap 50 and everybody's got to give and take on the racetrack and on pit road. And you know, the 5 car was pitted in the stall in front of me, and he was at, you know, whatever struggles he had earlier in the race, he had to come in. And I saw him checking up, and I started to check up, and I just barely got in the back of him, and then Kurt just accelerated and drove through us. Absolutely drove through us. I tell you, man, I'm about tired of his recklessness.
You think these two guys are looking for each other, or is that one guy looking for that other one? Or
Darrell, race drivers have longer memory than elephants.
I don't know. You look out the nose of that thing, you don't have one. You remember who did it.
Well, that's true.
I saw a hand coming out the left side window of that two car as well.
Yeah. You want by me? You may have to work a little bit.
This is going to get ugly here.
Here we go. And Brad jams on the brakes. Everybody stacks up. Now they're side by side, and it's on, heading for turn 3, and it's off again.
In 2014, Brad Keselowski made a joke out of himself, and at Martinsville, it was one of the worst times he ever did it. Brad Keselowski had an altercation with Kurt Busch on pit road where he was upset that Busch got into him. This damaged Keselowski's car and effectively took him out of the race. So Keselowski, in his own mind, decided, I'm going to go back on the racetrack, door Kurt Busch, and flip him off. The worst part about all of this is Brad Keselowski made a huge scene with himself, and Kurt Busch won the race later that afternoon. I bet Keselowski regrets doing that.
Jones down low. It's up high. Here comes Brandon Jones. First win of the year. Unbelievable.
And we talked about tire prep. The 19 was working his tires really hard before that.
Awesome job.
Absolutely.
Awesome job all day, guys.
Brandon took advantage and took the win.
5th career victory.
35 laps.
Oh, we got some angry fellas here.
Ty Gibbs, Sam Mayer.
Helmets on. Oh.
Here we go. Coleman talked about the fact they've been racing each other for a long time. Oh, and there's a punch. Ty Gibbs going after Sam Mayer, and we've got a fight at Martinsville.
He ain't let him go.
Couple good shots. Connected.
Yeah, I mean, kind of took him out. You know, I can see Ty's frustration there. You know, Sam's running hard to try to get
100 grand.
Oh, wow.
That was for 100,000 right there.
For sure.
In 2022, Ty Gibbs made a joke out of himself at Martinsville when he got upset when Sam Mayer pushed him in the wall for $100,000. In my opinion, I would probably do the same thing. But the worst part about this is Ty Gibbs would want to go fight Sam Mayer. Alright, understandable, I guess. You're upset. But he made it even worse for himself when he didn't take off his helmet and he started throwing punches at Sam Mayer. He did land a couple, and that was pretty impressive, but Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer got called to the NASCAR hauler, and Ty Gibbs was fined and docked points after this incident. He hasn't had any altercations like this since, but this is by far one of the worst ones he's ever had in his NASCAR career.
It's Austin Hill who gets it done at Daytona, and here's what happened behind him.
That's just a bad scenario. Once you get turned around backwards, if he doesn't get hit in the front end, it probably doesn't get airborne, but it's just you got that other car wedging underneath the front to get the lift there. But it's great to see, like Chad talked about, the safety innovations of these cars. You know, to see Myatt just walk right out, that's a great sign.
And I would be anxious to see how close it was at the time of caution, because look right here, it looks like the 16's out front. Whew, it had to be really close.
The caution wasn't out at that point when they left our screen, so he was clearly ahead by the time he left the bottom of your monitors on television. But unfortunately, Anthony Alfredo getting into the back of the 31 and creating that issue.
Wow. I mean, look at that car.
And look at the grass that's flying in front of him.
Where's the engine?
Oh,
wow.
The engine's gone. I mean, this kind of like a Michael Waltrip wreck that we saw at Bristol, where it's just, or the Jeffrey Bodine, right?
Kyle Larson front straightaway here at Daytona years ago.
This, in my opinion, is the worst crash the NASCAR Xfinity Series we've had in over a decade. Myatt Snider's car lifted up like a rocket ship on the back straightaway, catching the rear of his race car in the catch fence, whipping it around to the front side, and then flying back across the racetrack, bursting into flames and tearing it all apart. It still blows my mind that Snider was immediately able to drop his window net to signify he was okay. This is by far one of the most dangerous crashes you could ever have in the backstretch. You could flip on the backstretch, you could have some wild hits, but to have a car flip in the fence like this backwards was such a wild experience to see, and thankfully, him, along with everybody else in this accident, was okay. And actually, to prove how bad this accident was, on the backstretch, they had RVs. And a piece of Snider's race car actually went into Michael Jordan's RV that was sitting in the back straightaway on the outside of the racetrack.